square feet above. Anything out of that 300 square feet range, it's not a comp. So if I have a 1,500 square foot house, my comps can go up to 1,800 and it can go as low as 1,200. And we're looking at location within a half mile to a mile radius if you're in the city, 1 to 5 miles, I think it's 1 to 2 miles if you're in the suburbs, and you can go up to 5 miles if you're in the rural areas. I always have a hard time saying that word, so I say country. So if you're out in the country location, you can go up to 5. Okay. Next. You are looking for the 4 highest sold. They cannot be on the market. They cannot be under contract pending status. They have to have been sold within a 1 mile radius, because 9 times out of 10, you're wholesaling in the city. So it's going to be within a 1 mile radius. And it has to be sold within the last 6 months. In this seller's market where homes are going like crazy, you can go 3 months if you want. If you get a ton of comps within that 6 months, shorten it to 3 months and see what you get. And you do the 4 highest sold. All right. Okay. Don't forget, you guys can ask questions throughout. Example of comps. The 4 highest sold comps were 120, 200, 175, and 100. Those are my comps. Now I'm going to take what I did from finding my 4 highest comps, the 4 highest prices sold within 1 mile radius in the past 6 months, and I'm going to add it up and divide it by 4, and that is my ARV, the after repair value. That is how you calculate that. Your comps divided by 4 equal ARV, after repair value. Okay. All right. Then you're going to take that ARV, and that's how you're going to calculate your offer and to the seller and your price that you're requesting from the end buyer. Okay. All right. That is called MAO, max allowable offer. Here at the Real Estate Diva Enterprises, what we do is this: we use 60%, not the 70, which is the industry average. So I'm going to use both and give them to you. So the comps that we got here came out to $148,750 ARV. That's where I got that $148,750 from. Then you're going to multiply that by 70%. So $148,750 times 70%, industry standard. Why is it an industry standard? Because most lenders will only give you up to 70% of the ARV for a loan. Okay, so then if you do that at 70%, you get $104,125. If you do it at our standard, which is 60%, you get $89,250. You're going to subtract the cost of repairs from this number. So just because we don't have a house right now we're looking at, we're going to say $50,000 is the cost of repairs. You're going to take $50,000 and subtract it from this 104 and subtract it from this 89. Okay. Then what you're going to do is subtract your assignment fee. So 104, pull your calculators back out, guys. 104, 125 minus $50,000 gives me $54,125. Well, Asia says she has a $15,000 assignment fee. So if I'm subtracting $15,000, I can pay no more than $39,000 for this house. Okay. Now we have 104, 125. We'll use Patricia said 5,000. Subtract her $5,000 assignment fee. She's at $99,000. $99,125. okay? That means she can go, that's the lowest she can offer. Well, no, that's the mess. I have a question that's distracting. That would be your offer. The offer would be, you take your ARV, which is a 104, 125. You subtract your cost of repairs, which is a 50,000. That brings you down to 50,000, 54,125. Your $5,000 assignment fee, Davina, would be, so you subtract that as well. Or you, I'm sorry, you add that. I said that wrong. 54,125 plus your 5,000. Okay. $59,000. So you can't sell this house for less than $60,000 to your buyer. Okay. And if you subtract the 5,000, you can go no lower than the 55,000. The most you can offer your seller is 55,000. Do everybody understand what I just did? I'm trying to make sure you don't forget to pay yourself, because a lot of times I've done it before. So the offer to the seller will be 55,000. The offer to the buyer would be 60. Whatever you're going to offer your end buyer has to include your assignment fee. So so you're trying to give 60,000. Now let's see if this is a good deal. Because after you subtracted the cost of the repairs, that became your your MAO to the seller. Okay. And then you're going to add your assignment fee to that dollar amount. So it was $54,125. Then you're going to add your $5,000 assignment fee or add your $15,000 assignment fee. That would make it $15,000. I always round up to round numbers too. So I would say 55,000 is what I'm offering seller. So 55,000, 50. So I'm at $70,000. So the offer, MOA's max offer allowed, is just switching the words around. So now I'm at $70,000 is the lowest I can take in order for my seller to make their money and for me to make my money. But is $70,000 enough for my buyer to make his money or her money? So let's look at that in reverse. So now if they're in at 70,000 plus they got to put 50,000 into it, they're at $120,000. The ARV is $148,750. So right now they're going to profit $28,750 gross profit, because they still have to pay their real estate agent for listing. They still have to pay carrying costs if they finance. They still have to pay closing costs and taxes and insurance and things like that. With all of that stuff said and done, you're looking at about $12,000 going out. So they're only going to make $16,750. And I'm telling you now, that's not a good deal. So you're going to, in order for you to make this work, Asia, talk me you, in order for you to make this work, you got to come down on your assignment fee. Either you got to negotiate lower with the seller, or you got to come down off your $15,000 assignment fee and maybe come down. Say if you went down to 5, that would increase. If you went down to 5,000, because this is a smaller project, so I can see why you would. You might not want to, but if you went down to 5,000, you would subtract. He would only be at 60, and then he would profit $26,750. Now, me personally, I'm being honest. Yes, Asia, you would do anywhere between 5 and 8. I'm still on MAO. Yes, Sean. So when you So when you're going and you're doing this, you want to see like 15,000, you're leaving a lot of room to negotiate. Because Joe said, oh yeah, I told you I'd give you 65 for that. And you have it at 70. You still make 10 grand without even having to go back to the seller. Or you can try and go back to the seller and see if they'll come down that extra 5,000, you still make your money. You can do it either way. Okay? Questions on this? Because I know we get stuck right here sometimes, and I got more math coming up for you guys, so I don't want to. So does wholesaling benefit buyers too because they don't have to get a large mortgage loan? Yes. Okay, Davina, let me explain how this. You need another example? Okay, we'll do another example. I'll do another example. Okay, first let me answer Davina's question. Does wholesaling benefit the buyers too? Yes. You always want a good wholesaler who wants repeat business and constant business and consistent business. You don't want to be known as the wholesaler that doesn't know the numbers. That's the nail in your coffin for any wholesaler. If you're known as a wholesaler that doesn't know the numbers, the moment your reputation, I have my buyers right now, I can sell a house sight unseen. Because they're like, okay, I know Delisa, she's not gonna give me no garbage. If she said it's 60, it's 60. And I've sold 3 houses this week, sight unseen. Because they know that I know my numbers. They know that I'm studying. They know that I know how to calculate the repairs. They know this. And they know my money. I'm about my money on another thing. So in order for this to be a good business for you, you have to make it a win for the seller, a win for you, and a win for your buyer. As long as you can make everybody happy, and it's so easy to do. All you got to do is know your numbers. And you might go into this, you know what, I'm gonna make 15 grand on this deal. I made 50 grand on the deal. Me and Justin, one of my JV partners, me and Justin went to a house. I told Justin, because it's a 3-unit. We have 3 units here in Buffalo. We have 2 in the front, and then there's a whole single family house in the back. And I told Justin, I said, well, why don't we do this so we can get we'll see what we can get. I told Justin, he said, well, he wanted 50. I said, well, see if you can get down to at least 5,000 more because, you know, the comps aren't there for 3 units in that area. So we got to try and make this work. Justin said, okay. Justin came back to me and said, oh, I got him down to 40. I said, oh, okay. Well, let me see if I can get this down, what I can get for it. I put it out to my buyers. I have a 3-unit in this area. 2 to 3 units are occupied. The 3rd unit needs about $20,000 worth of work. But then it's going to rent for, because I did the rent analysis, it's going to rent for 2 3-bedroom apartment, single family rents for about $850 to $900 in that area because it's a tiny little cottage house. So now everybody's calculating numbers. They're not calculating, they're calculating how much money they're going to make on a monthly basis. I had one guy say, I'll give you 90 grand for it. Okay. I said, when do you want to see it? I don't need to see it. You just gave me the numbers. I'm good. Okay. So just like that, me and Justin made 50 grand. And what we did was we took the 50 grand because we made more than the seller did at that point. So we pushed back 5,000 to our attorney and said, hey, cover his closing costs with that we'll cover up to $5,000 of his closing costs. The attorney was like, what? Oh, my other wholesalers would have just took that money and ran. I was like, yeah, that's the difference between them and us, and that's why we're still making money and they're out here struggling. We're not greedy. When you find yourself in a situation like that, you might make more than the seller. Be nice. Every once in a while, do a kickback. Or if you can't be nice, how about you take that money and donate it to charity, or, you know, go feed the homeless or do something. I'm all about doing stuff and giving back to guys, just so you know. That's why I do free workshops all the time. So, Davina, to answer your question, no, you don't need to be financed because your seller who told you they wanted this house is going to finance your deal. Oh, you need proof of funds. Seller, buyer, I mean, your buyer is going to, who wants this property. Buyer, oh, the buyer is gonna give me proof of funds. Oh, the seller requested a $5,000 EMD. Oh, seller, oh, buyer, I need a $10,000 EMD. Why do I need double? Because if anything should fall apart and this deal doesn't go through, my seller gets 5,000 and so do I, because I don't work for free. So always require. Now I'm gonna do whatever I can do to get out of paying an EMD to my seller. But I always make my end buyer pay an EMD because I don't work for free. And I don't want to do all this work and then the deal falls apart and I don't get paid. No. Like I said, mama don't work for free. That's crazy. We don't do that. So EMD, earnest money deposit. Okay, let me make sure I answer. I saw a lot of questions come up when I was doing this math. So let me make sure I got it. So does wholesaling benefit buyers too, because they don't have to get a large mortgage loan? It's not that they don't have to get a large mortgage loan, Davina, it's just however they're going to finance it. They're more worried about, the buyer is always worried about their profit. And that's where you, the wholesaler, come into play as far as benefiting them with that, their profit. Sheena, we're going to do another example in just a second. Stephen asked me what most buyers want for profit. It's a percentage and everybody is different, or at least buyers want to profit on average. If I'm in a partnership, my minimum profit is 25,000. Excuse me, if I'm flipping a house, I want to make at least a $25,000 profit. That means after all expenses and everything else, I should be collecting a check from my attorney or my title company for at least $25,000. That's just me and that's if I'm flipping by myself. Now, if I'm flipping with a partner, I want 50 because I still want to make sure I get my 25,000. And it's just that profit margin will vary based upon, I have a client right now, he wants to profit $100,000 on every flip. I don't have a problem with that. And that's if he's with a partner. If he's by himself, he wants to profit at least 50. So if I can know, and with the example that I gave you guys, if it's at 148,000, say they sell the house, what if they end up selling the house for 200? Then it's a good deal. Even at 160, it's a better deal. So you just have to gauge where you're coming from with that. How do you calculate repairs virtually? My boots on the ground. Okay, so this is a question I always get about virtual wholesaling. Virtual wholesaling is when you wholesale outside of your area where you can't physically get to a property. I wholesale a lot in Memphis, Tennessee, Detroit, Michigan, and what's that other place on there? Oh, Atlanta, Georgia. So the Atlanta, Georgia area, I should say. So when I have boots on the ground in those cities. I have people who will go and take pictures for me, take videos for me, and they will give me estimates about how much they think stuff is going to cost. Oh, Delisa, it's a total gut. If it's a total gut, I usually go anywhere between $40 to $50 per square foot of the house. So if I'm doing a 1,500 square foot house, which we said we were doing on this project, and I'm at $40 a square foot, it's a $60,000 renovation. So if I'm at 50 at 1,500 square feet, that's a $75,000 renovation. Now, if it does not need a full gut, what we call cosmetics, mascara and lipstick, you'll hear me say that on some of my other ones. If I'm just doing mascara and lipstick, that's going to be anywhere from $25 to $30 per square foot. So at 25 times 1,500, I'm only at $37,500 construction budget. And when we do that, that per square foot, that's giving you labor and materials. So that's how you calculate those. So that's how I calculate them. What is EMD? EMD is earnest money deposits, the deposit that the seller requires in case anything goes wrong or the deal falls apart and they still get paid because you locked up their property. So it's just important to know what a buyer wants to make when looking for properties. Yes, that's a question you should be asking your buyer about how much are you looking to make, because if you say, if he was looking to make 50,000 and you weren't gonna make 50 on this deal, that's not a buyer you wanna present the deal to. I'm not saying don't present it, if that, I present all deals to all buyers, but I have a different method of delivery. I have, my buyers are broken up into A, B, and C. A meaning they're buying right now. B, they'll buy if the deal is right. And C, oh, they might buy a house or two every year. My A buyers, all three level of buyers get a weekly text message, or a weekly email with links to pictures and everything else. Every single one of them. My A buyers, they're on a text message list. Hey guys, with that same link. Hey guys, I got this property. Da, 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 da. So now, and then they always say, oh, I want to see the properties first. Show it to me before you send it to everybody else. Yeah, right. I'm not doing that. Limiting my money, waiting on you. No. So they think they're the only ones that got it because of the way I send it. I send a text message through my text messaging service with a link to the pictures, and I send it out. I create iPhones. You can create a shared album right on your iPhone and just invite people to look at the album. That's another way I do that too. Now, Sheena, I did not forget you. We're going to do one more. We're going to do one from scratch. Okay. We're going to do one from scratch. Get your pens and papers out, guys. Our comps. Comp number 1 is $225,000. Comp number 2 is $149,750. Comp number 3 is $315,290. And comp number 4 is $249,999. All right. Now you're going to add all of them up. 225, 149,750, 315,290, 249,999. And then my calculator just stopped working. Hold on one second. 225, 149, 750. We got 315, 290. Then we have 249, 999. I have a total of $940,039. Did anybody else get anything different? Now, I hope you guys are going along because I'm not going to do this by myself. Now divide that by 4 and give me the answer. Nope, Davina, you missing a number. You're close though. Yep, there it is, correct. Sheena got it right, Davina got it right. Okay, you guys should have $235,009.75. Okay, now because we are in this business of real estate and we don't really do cents and round numbers, we would just say 235. So 235 is your what? What did we just figure out? What is that? 235 ARV. Perfect, Davina. Thank you. Sean, 235 ARV. Yep. So we're 235,000 with the ARV. Now, what we do next is we take the ARV of 235,000. We're going to multiply that by 70%, which is industry standard. What do you get? $164,500. Yes. $164,500. Now, I'm getting ready to throw a whole monkey wrench in your plan. Okay. The house is 2,000 square feet. And it needs a full gut. what are the repair costs? Minimum repair costs. Davina, you are absolutely right. 80K. Yep, Sean, 80K. Bianca, 80K. Yep, there you go. So we're at $80,000. What are we doing with that $80,000? We're subtracting it from the 70%. So 70% was 164.5 minus $80,000. That gives me 164.5 minus 80K. This is easy math, but I'm using my calculator to make sure I'm right. 84,500. The full gut price was the square footage times a minimum of $40. So remember, a full gut is going to run you anywhere between $40 to $50, depending on your market. Sometimes it can be $50 to $60. It depends on your market and how high end you want to go. So $84,000. So that leaves me with 84,500 is the max offer I can give to the seller. Right? Now, we're going to use, say, a $10,000 assignment fee. So if I add 10,000 to the 84.5, I am out at 95,400. That is the lowest price I can accept from my buyer. Everybody's still with me? Okay, so 84,500 is the most, that's the max allowable offer, your MAO, to your seller. Now, me personally, I'm offering 70,000. If they go for it, great. That's me. I'm always going to offer less or let them counter me up to the 84. I know the most I'm paying is 84.5. I know I'm going lower than that. Then for me to make my $10,000 assignment fee or my $20,000 assignment fee, I have to add that to the 84.5. So $10,000 assignment fee means what? The lowest I can accept is 95,400. So how much am I marketing this house for? No, Patricia, you went the wrong way, sweetie. I am marketing the price. Now, so do you take 15 to 20% off your MAO? Now, I just look at it and I guesstimate that. I always eyeball it, Sean, to be honest. Patricia, 95,000. Nah, I'm not going to offer him 95,000 because more than likely he's going to try and negotiate me down. So you always want to go higher than what the max is. So in this instance, I'm being really honest. He's offering my highest, the lowest I can accept from him is 95,400 from Joe. Okay, just to give you guys some examples. So from Joe, the lowest I can go is 95.4. So I'm going to add 20,000 on top of that, and this property is going to be worth 115. Now, if somebody takes me at 115, and then they have to put 80,000 into it, that's 195 on a property that gets 235. They still can make 40 grand. You see what I'm saying? You see how that's how you have to gauge what you're gonna ask for. Sheena, you still with me? Okay, cool. Did that second go through help you? Awesome. Just wanted to make sure I didn't leave anybody out. Anybody else not understanding what we just did? This is why we call it a workshop, because you're not just going to sit here and listen to me talk. So how would you market that? So I would market it at 115, between 100 at the lowest. So if I wanted to drive the price up in a seller's market, I listed at 99. I marketed out to all my people at 99. And then if I knew I had one person or one particular or a couple people that were interested, I might do a 109. Because if I do 109 and he goes back and does his numbers and he uses the same number I'm using, the formulas, he comes back to me at 95,000. Well, that was where I was at anyway, and I still made $10,000. But imagine if I put it at 109, right? And he pays the 109, and I only have to give her 84. So that 109 minus her 84.5. Hold on one second. 109, 109,000 minus her 84.5. I now made 24,000 as my assignment fee. That's why I said sometimes you will get more than your minimum assignment fee, and there are times when you will get less. I've gotten $1,000 before. So are the wholesale properties you find always in need of repair? No, I said that at the top of the workshop. They're not always. And are they already paid off? No, but there are different ways to work around that. Now, Davina, good question. Are they always paid off? No. If there's a mortgage on there, you as a wholesaler, you need to find out what is the payoff. Okay? And don't listen to that owner when they tell you, oh, I think I owe about 100,000. No. Can you provide me with an official letter from your bank? Because you don't want any surprises. You don't want the last statement they got in the mail. You want an official payoff letter up to a certain date for your payoff. Okay? Because you don't want anything to hinder your deal. That's called doing your due diligence. So you just made, okay. Now, we did the math. This is, mind you, this is just for the seller, okay? We haven't even gotten to the buyers yet. You guys thought this was gonna be just one of those little fluff piece workshops that y'all normally get. Nope, not at all. PropStream will show you some of this. But PropStream, it gives you an estimate of what they owe. That is not exactly what they owe. PropStream gives you an estimate based on how much they paid versus how much time they've owned it. They cannot give you an exact amount of what is owed. All right, so now we're going to make an offer. Well, we're going to view the property, then we're going to make an offer. But Delisa, we done did all these numbers? Yes, that's how you prepare for the viewing. You have to. Oh, thank you, Sheena. I appreciate that. All right, so you guys have to understand that you guys have to understand that we are doing the most out here in these real estate streets. So now you haven't even viewed the property yet. You've done all this work, right? Right. Now you're gonna go, but now when you go to view the property, you have an idea. If this property needs a complete gut job, you already have an estimate in your mind of how much you're gonna have to spend. You already have an estimate if it doesn't need a complete gut job, and you haven't even seen it yet, right? Right. Okay. Next thing, we're gonna view the property. And I'm telling you, if you follow these steps when you go to view the property, you will more than likely seal the deal. All right. And you're like, what? You can't guarantee me that. Yes, I can, because I do it all the time. First of all, you're gonna arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. If your appointment is at 2, you will get there at 1:45 or 1:50. Because pull up, take a look around the neighborhood, see what's going on a little bit. Be in front of the house. Start taking pictures of the outside of the house. Because what if they have to meet you there and they're not there yet? Don't sit in your car and be on the phone talking to somebody. Get out. Go and look at the property, take pictures. What pictures do you need? We're gonna get to that in a minute, okay? Arrive 10 to 15 minutes early, especially if this is their home. It builds respect with the seller and it shows you're a professional person. You get there right at 2 or on time or a little bit after 2, they're gonna be like, I'm not doing this. And not only that, but you set the standard for future meetings. Because now they know they need to be on time. Okay. Then you're going to introduce yourself and any of your guests. So everybody has a job. They're either the contractor, an investment partner. They're never your buyer. They're an investment partner, contractor. They can be the insurance. I've been the insurance agent, the property manager. They can be your property manager because I plan to rent this property out. So I brought my property manager with me. Okay. Do not reach for the door handle. And you guys are saying, this is nuts. This is not something that people pay attention to. You want a seller or a tenant to invite you in. Let them open the door for you. It doesn't make you seem so intimidating. And like you're just in a rush to get into the house. Especially if they're elderly. They get a little nervous when you make sudden movements. So wait, follow their lead. When you walk in, when I walk into a seller's house or a tenant's house, I ask them, is it okay for me to walk through? If it's vacant, ask if you can just walk through by yourself. If it's occupied, hey, show me what you like best about your house. Because if it's occupied, the tenant more than likely, if it's a tenant occupancy, they're going to be the ones to let you in. What do you like most about your house? Tenants, if they're pissed off with the landlord, what's wrong with this house? Just literally just come up and be like, hey, can you show me what's wrong with the house? They'll tell you my basement backs up, my toilet flush and the tub backs up. They'll tell you everything. Okay. All right. Helpful to anybody so far? All right. Now, next. After you ask for the tour, you ask permission, can you take photos? I'm not going to say this enough. You ask permission before you whip out your phone and start taking pictures, especially if this house is occupied, because you don't want to take pictures of their jewelry, their children, their pets. They might be a little embarrassed about how clean or unclean the house is. So you ask permission. If it's occupied, don't take pictures of their personal items. You don't want pictures of their computer, because once you post these pictures and you give the address, you make them vulnerable to criminals. So you don't want to put their personal items in that photo. And this is something a lot of people do not think about. They don't think to ask permission. They just start taking pictures. And then they taking pictures of stuff they don't even need to take pictures of. That's why I have a list of mandatory pictures that you take. You're dealing with investors 9 times out of 10. You're going to deal with the landlord or the flipper 9 times out of 10. So you want all sides of the exterior of the house. So you want the front of the house, both sides of the house, and the back of the house. Okay. You want a picture of the gas meters, the electric meters, the roof, the plumbing, the hot water tank, the furnace. How do I get pictures of the roof? At least I am not 60 feet tall. You are correct. That's why we have these things called smartphones. You're going to go across the street, look up at the roof, aim your camera, and zoom in. Believe me, if you go down my social media, I take pictures of roofs all the time. I'm only 5'3 3/4". And those roof, I've never seen a roof that I could look on top of. But I guarantee you I have a picture of every house and every roof on my social media. Okay? So that's what you're gonna do. And you want the roof from both sides. You want pictures of the foundation. If it's a full basement, take pictures of the foundation, all four sides. If it's outside, take pictures of all four sides of the foundation. That's what investors want. They don't care about what color the carpet is, the floors. If there's an issue with their older windows, take pictures of the windows, because these windows have to be either repaired or replaced. If they're in my neighborhood where I live at in Buffalo, they have to be repaired. We snuck and got all of our windows replaced when we first moved into it, because we live in a historical district and you have to have permission from the board on what you can and cannot do to your house. So we have to have windows replaced. We have to have windows repaired because they want to keep as much of the old character of these houses as they can, which is a pain in the butt. But hey, do what you gotta do. Making on the spot offers. No, we don't do that. We do not do that. We don't make offers. Do we? No, they tell us what they want. So, thank you for showing me the house today. And how much did you say you were asking again? Because remember, you asked them on the phone already. How much did you say you want for this house again? Now, if you've already ran your numbers, you already know what your max offer is. So if they came at 80, you know your max offer was 84,500, and they said, oh, well, 70 will work. Okay, make the deal, go to your car, sign the contract. You should always carry a blank contract, ladies and gentlemen. So you go and you sign a contract right then and there. But if they said, you know, your lowest is 84,005, and they said they want 90, then you say, well, what about, I was thinking more 80 because I have to get this done. And that's when you start pointing out everything that needs to be done. That's when you pull up your iPad or your phone and you start showing them all the pictures you took and telling them how much it's going to cost to get that stuff fixed, because you should know. Should know some of the costs anyway. All right. So that's when you start using the repairs to negotiate. That's why we need to know the repairs, so we can negotiate the price in case the price is too high. Now, what if he came back and said, you know, in your mind, 84,500 is the lowest. What if they came back and said, you know what? I think 50,000 be good and I'm out of here. You mean you want to clear 50,000? Yeah, I need to walk away with 50. Okay, great. So now if you sold it, you know, what if you sold it to your person for 84.5? Or you listed it, you know you have a lot more room to grow. So if they only want 50 and you know you can get 100, you just made $50,000. If you make $50,000 and you're not willing to pay closing costs to a person that just walked away from a house, something is wrong with you. I'm gonna tell you why. Closing costs on average would be 10,000. You still would have made 40. Stop being greedy. Don't, if you're in this business right now, stop being greedy. If you're just getting into this business, do not become greedy, because things will always happen for you when you do good things to good people. I'm a big believer in karma. And I am always one that would tell you, you need to give back. Now, like I said, I made 50 grand. I put 5,000 back towards the closing costs. I made 25,000 on another one. I took a hit from my seller because my seller he bought 3 houses from me in 1 week. So yeah, maybe I'm not going to, maybe this time I won't make the 30,000 I could have made on the house. So I only made 25. What would you rather have, 25,000 or nothing? So you have to look at things that way. Rule number 1, never negotiate. If you take your seller with you, never talk about price. I mean, if you take your buyers with you, never talk about price in front of this, with the seller in front of your buyer. Okay, that's it. Those are my rules. Any questions about how we view this property. Any questions, any questions? Oh goodness, it's almost 3:30. You've been on here 2.5 hours already. Good Lord. Y'all is just talking? No, I'm just joking. All right, we're still not done because we still got some other stuff to go through too. All right, next things next. Before I get into buyer math, I have a treat for you guys. And I'm gonna see if I can find it quickly. Yep, it's right here. Can you guys see that? The purchase agreement. This is my blank purchase agreement that I use. Okay, I'm gonna run through it really quickly because I didn't realize we were always 2.5 hours in. And it's Sunday, y'all got things to do. Can everybody see this? If you can't see it, let me know. Okay, everybody can see. Good. Now the purchase and sale agreement is just that. This is a 2-page. I'm going to show you. It's a 2-page document to purchase a home, and it's legal in most states. What I suggest to everyone, and my boot camp members know this because this is something that I provide to them while they're for them in the boot camp. If they download and use this, they are to send it to their title company or send it to their attorney to have it reviewed to make sure it's legal for their market that they are wholesaling in. I only use this for wholesaling. I do not use this when I purchase properties for myself. Okay. Now, this purchase and sale agreement, hereby known as the agreement, is made, put the date in. Hereby, and XYZ is known as the seller. So it'll say Lisa Robinson, hereby known as a seller or a signer, do hereby agree to sell to Janice Coffee, hereby known as the buyer or the assignee, the following described real estate hereby referred to as the premises located in Buffalo, County of Erie, State of New York, commonly referred to as 123 Main Street, legally described as, and that's where you're going to go to your county records and you're going to get the plot code, and that goes in there. Buyer agrees to pay and seller agrees to accept the amount of, and you put it in writing. We're right here, guys. You put it in writing, words, how much you're paying. $100,000 would be ONEHUNDREDTHOUSANDDOLLARS. $100,000. Then you put it in numerical form in cash, because that's how I said I was going to pay, in cash. Do I show up at closing with $100,000 in a suitcase? No. I sign it. I come with a cashier's check with cash. You will never get cash. Well, unless you're my one buyer, you will never see a suitcase full of cash. I have 2 buyers who will show up to closing with a suitcase full of cash every single time. No matter how many times I say bring me a cashier's check, they will always show the cash. And see here, it says a non-refundable standard earnest money deposit of. If this is between me and the seller, I take that sentence out. Because if it's not there, they can't ask me for it. They sign, can't ask me for it. Or I'll put in there and I'll say 0, because I'm paying in cash and I'm agreeing to close by the day that you want to close. 0. Why should I pay an EMD? I can prove to you that I have the funds. I can show you my proof of funds that I have the funds in lieu of doing an EMD. So that's the type of thing you want to look at. Okay, guys? All right. Now, and then it goes to be placed in escrow with, okay, so wait, let's go back to this non-refundable earnest money deposit of $500, $100. You guys give these sellers too much control when they be like, oh, we need $5,000. What? No. You say how much you're willing to pay. And then title company with the remaining balance of $99,900 to be paid by check to the seller, subtracting any payments needed to clear the title, including but not exclusively any mortgages, liens, encumbrances, or holds against the title. Title or of seller is to be conveyed by warranty deed unless otherwise provided, and needs to be marketable and insurable except for rights reserved in federal patents, state or railroad deed, building or use restrictions, building and zoning regulations, and ordinance of any government, and right-of-way easement established for record. Because of all that legal mumbo jumbo I just read, that is why I always tell my coaching clients, please take this to your attorney to make sure it is legal for your state. Because this is legal for New York State. I know that for a fact. Because I use it in New York all the time. And it's legal in Michigan, because I use it in Michigan all the time too. Okay. The following terms and conditions basically saying what the seller agrees to do and what the buyer agrees to do. Here's the difference. I am a licensed, New York State licensed real estate broker. That means I have a fiduciary responsibility to acknowledge my license in any real estate transaction. It's like a boxer. Like when Floyd Mayweather goes out to a club, he can't just go out and box and get into a fight with somebody because he is called a lethal weapon. Well, I, believe it or not, with all my 5'3" ¾ of height, am a lethal weapon in this real estate world because I'm licensed and I know what I'm doing. So I have to acknowledge the fact that I am a licensed New York State broker, and I have to put it in my contract. And the reason why I put it in my contract and you sign it, because you will never be able to come back to me and say, you didn't know. Like somebody else tried to come back at me before and say that, oh, I didn't know she was an agent. I asked her how much my house was worth. She told me she couldn't tell. She told me that it was worth what she was paying and blah, blah, blah. He just made up this whole elaborate story. And I said, seller agrees to the following. The first sentence I have, this is a basic transaction. This is a basic contract without anything in it. But in my contract, because I altered this exact same contract and I put my first one says seller understands that the buyer's intention is to purchase the premises as an investment, to renovate, sell, or create a rental, or find an end buyer and assign the agreement for a fee with all payments to be made by the end buyer. Seller understands that the buyer is acting as a principal in the transaction and is not working as a real estate agent or broker representing anyone. That, if you are a licensed agent, salesperson, or broker, whatever you have to legally call yourselves in your state, that is your get out of jail free card. That sentence right there, that is the CYA, cover your ass portion of a contract. I go a step further and verbally tell them that I am an agent, a broker, because if I verbally tell you I'm a broker and your next question is, well, how much do you think my house is worth? My response is, because I am interested in purchasing your home, I think I'm gonna have, you want to know the value, I suggest you get an appraisal. Guess what they're not going to do? Pay that $450, $600, $700, $900 for an appraisal just to appease their curiosity on what was going on. Because if they wanted to pay for something, they wouldn't have did it on a wholesale off market. They'd have put it on the market and paid the agent to list it. That's why. Now, seller understands that the buyer is acting, okay. Seller understands that this contract may only be canceled by agreement of the buyer and or assignees, and the seller cannot market, attempt to sell, or rent the premises. That keeps your seller from trying to come behind your back and sell it to somebody else. Seller understands that the premises must be accessible during normal hours for the buyer to allow for inspections and estimates to be done, and a lockbox will be provided by the buyer. Meaning you, wholesaler, will buy a lockbox from Home Depot that costs about $29, and you will put it on his property with an extra set of keys. All right? You will not just give the code to people, because you are then, once you put a lockbox on somebody's property, you're legally responsible for the property and any damage that might happen during or after one of your showings. So don't just, oh, here's the code, unless it's somebody you've worked with before. Like I said, I have buyers and I would give a code to a buyer in a heartbeat. One buyer called me the other day, he said, I want to go see this house. You got a lockbox on there? I'm like, nope, owner won't give us one. So you have to be mindful of that. Okay. Seller understands that the buyer may advertise the premises in order to find an end buyer and or a future tenant, and the seller will not compete with the buyer in this matter, meaning any advertisements that the seller currently has have to be removed. They can no longer market their property. The seller understands they are to maintain the premises in as good condition as possible from the date of the agreement is signed, and or will vacate the premises in order to allow the buyer to maintain the premises. So either it's vacant and I'll maintain the premises, or you maintain the premises until I take over. Okay, everybody understand this so far? I know it's a lot. Seller hereby acknowledges that all negotiation deadlines with the buyer have been and are at arm's length, and that no duress and undue influence has been exerted. That means we did not put a gun to your head and say, give me your house. Seller is aware that the buyer is a real estate investor and is purchasing the premises for immediate and or non-current resale and profit. Now, here's what the buyer agrees to. The buyer agrees to the following. Buyer assignee understands the premises sold as is. That means you are taking this property as is. The seller will not be held liable for any damages created prior to the agreement, signing, site, seen or unseen. For any, it should be except for the ones created prior to the agreement. So anything that happened before. So if the drywall in the bedroom was falling in, and you went to look at the property and you signed a contract knowing that there was a hole in the ceiling, you can't come back later and say, hey, there was a hole in the ceiling, I want a reduction in price, because that was there before. Buyer understands the buyer assigned will require title insurance. This is something that is not New York State, okay? Let me explain title insurance. This is, because in other states, New York State is a clear title state. That means we have to have a clear title in order to transfer property from one person to another. That means no liens, mortgages, debts, nothing can be held against the property. It has to be transferred in clear title. Other states, that is not the case. New York State is the only state in the nation that requires clear title. Other states will make you buy title insurance. That is why they don't require the clear title. So if anything ever comes back, you have that title insurance and you can claim whatever damages against the insurance. Okay. Here's the funny part. New York State makes us buy title insurance as well as makes us have clear title. It's a money grab. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Now, all the parties agree to the following. You guys still with me? You got quiet all of a sudden. All parties understand that closing will be done on or before, you insert the date, and the closing agent is either the attorney or the title company. Is the broker responsible for closing, okay? Either the attorney or the title company. All right, now that's the end of the contract. Sign it, date it, send it over. Now, you also, we have the assignment contract too, but I'm not gonna go through that because the majority of you wanted me, the majority of the questions I got from just commenting in the different groups on Facebook that I'm in and on my page and in different panels and stuff, they always stress about the purchase agreement. So I had to go through the purchase agreement. Everything else mandatory. Also, guys, if you want, you're gonna you can follow me on social media. I go through a lot of this stuff too on my social media. All right, now we're gonna get to buyer math. Right, so now you sign this agreement, you have it, you sign this purchase agreement with your seller. Now you're out here marketing the property, this, that, and the other. And here's the thing. And I do an entire, I think it's a 1 hour or 2 hour session on marketing property. So I'm not going to get into that right now. But you should be marketing your property. First of all, you should have a personal social media page on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, okay, and TikTok. You should also have a business TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Your business pages should be public. Public. All business pages should be public. All right. I don't know who y'all trying to hide from. The money. I hate when I go to business pages and they're private. It drives me nuts. All my pages private. I mean public, business and personal, because I ain't got nothing to hide. I don't put nothing on. I don't put nothing on social media. I don't want nobody to see. So you should have all of your business pages should be set to public. Okay, not private, public. Because you're going to start taking these fabulous pictures that you're going to
go to Canva.com, my other favorite tool, and you're going to create a listing post. You're going to put it on your pages.
And you're going to start, you're going to use these hashtags. That's why I say I go through a whole different thing for my marketing with my properties. And then you're going to get people who want to purchase these properties. So you want to do this a certain way. That's how you market a property. You're going to market it. Don't put it in a wholesale group. See if it's against the rules, or can you post it in a RIA group where the people with the money reside? In the RIA group, on your Facebook page, and watch all your friends finally support your business and share it. All right? All right. Y'all don't believe me. That's all right. Now, buyer math. I'm telling y'all. Y'all gonna laugh when y'all see this.
We got calculators out.
Everybody want to stretch your legs a little bit, stand up, stretch your back. We've been sitting for like 2.5 hours. All right. First things first, you want to know is buyer math, cap rate.
This is for landlords and rivers who want to rent out units before they put their property. This is telling you how much
Money. What's the capitalization rate? What is the rate of return on their money? That's what cap rate means. It is calculated by net income. So if you get $10,000 in, but you have $2,000 in expenses, $8,000 is your net income divided by the purchase price. So if my net income is $8,000 and I purchased the property for $55,000, my cap rate is 14.51454.5. Okay. All right. Now, anything over 8% is amazing cap rate, just so you guys know. Anything over 8 is good cap rate. The 1% rule. This is a lot of investors use this, and I don't know why, especially landlords. This is a rule that indicates rent collected should total 1% of the purchase price. So if the price is $150,000, they should be getting gross money $1,500 per month on the unit. You guys can just screenshot this screen if you want to. 70% rule, we already went over that, so I'm not going to go over that again. And then the 4 to 5 year ROI. ROI stands for return on investment. So taking this one, and that's why it's so long and drawn out. So if they purchase a property for $50,000, and then they put another $50,000 into it, they're all in at $100,000. So the rent that's collected is $1,800 a month times 12. That puts you at $21,600. Divide that. I'm sorry. Then you want to multiply that times 5. So 21,600 times 5. That equals 108,000. It will take them 5 years to get their money back. And a lot of people go anywhere between 3 and 5 years to get their money back. And then if it's worth it, then that's what they'll do. This is most commonly used in mobile home investing and entry-level housing. Entry-level housing is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, under $300,000. because that's like first home type of deal. So that's where you get that from. Okay, so that's the type of math you need for buyers. So now, the closing. Now here comes the closing. Let me explain to you, and then we're going to be wrapping up in a minute. Let me explain closing. There's 3 ways you can close, but 2 of them are so close together that we just call it a double close, even though it's called a simultaneous close. They're all simultaneous closings if you ask me. So a double close is where you close one transaction with the seller, and that one closes, meaning you purchase the property and then you sell it to the end buyer, and that transaction closes. 2 separate closings. One doesn't know you sold it to the other, one doesn't know you bought it from the other. It's a done deal. So no one sees your profit. That's the benefit. There's less friction between the seller and the buyer because you are the seller and the buyer. You pay closing costs, which results in less profit taken out of your assignment fee. More money taken out of your assignment fee, equating in less profit. And you must complete the purchase agreement with the seller. So you have to close, and you have to then close another purchase agreement. So instead of a purchase agreement and an assignment contract, you will use 2 purchase agreements when you double close. Why do people double close? Simple. If I'm making more than $10,000, do you think the seller's going to be mad if they know I made 10 grand? Yes. Do you think the buyer's going to be mad if they think I made 10 grand? Possibly. So that's why you use a double close, because then the 2 don't know what you made in the middle. An assignment, everybody knows how much you make. Okay, you don't pay any closing costs. Buyers can request the original contract. If they request your original contract, you are to black out the dollar amounts that you are paying to the seller. So if you bought a house for 10,000, black out 10,000, black out the assignment fee, black out anything that's going to tell them how much money you pay for the house. Okay. So, because you have to, if they ask for the original contract, you have to provide it, because the assignment contract is telling them that they are agreeing to everything in the original contract. Wouldn't you want to know what you were agreeing to? So don't get mad when they ask you that. Just black out the money and send it over. Now, and you must complete an assignment contract with your buyers. Okay, if you're doing assignments. Now, a simultaneous close and a double close, like I said, they're so close together that we just call it a double close. Now, questions, because that was the end. Aren't you guys glad you came today? I'm glad you guys came today. So what questions do you guys have? And while you're loading your questions, I'm going to tell you how you can follow me on social media, and how we can be best friends and lifelong pals and possible business. Not going to be as detailed as I'm going to have a link out. Third is flip. So that's what the real estate investor. Trust me, $47. I'm not going to give. People don't understand. You're gonna have to wait. I'm sorry. See you in boot camp. Take care. Okay, Patricia. Alrighty, guys. I have to go because I actually have to get on a training call myself today.
We're doing cash flow. My business